Bonjour mes amis, comment ça va? I'm Lena from Crowd Games, and we continue our journey through Europe. And you got it right, we are going to the French port city of Le Havre. Le Havre by Uwe Rosenberg was released in 2008 and almost immediately hit the top 10 games. This is not surprising, like other Uwe's games, Le Havre is characterized by a logical and thoughtful gameplay. In addition, it immerses you in the atmosphere of the port city and even gives references to real-life buildings in Le Havre. In the Russian version of the game, you'll find not only the base game, but also the Le Grand Mont expansion and 12 exclusive special buildings promo cards. The setup does not take much time. You lay out the game board and the starting buildings. 1 construction firm and 2 building firms. Place the supply tiles, round cards and starting resources on the game board. Form 3 stacks of standard building cards and a deck of special buildings. Then place coins, loan cards, food production tokens and playing pieces next to the game board. Players receive 1 playing piece of their color, a game turn overview card, starting resources and coins. You can play Le Havre with a different player count and even solo. Also, Le Havre can be played in either a full or a shortened version, which have a different number of rounds and slightly different rules. The starting player is the player who lives closest to the water. They get a spectacular token with a steering wheel on it. And what exactly is the game about? You develop Le Havre, build various buildings and ships and take care of the workers in the port who ne mangent pas si jour, and trade as much as you can. In fact, you try to evolve from a small entrepreneur into the owner of large factories and luxury lines. The player's turn consists of 2 mandatory actions and optional additional actions. The first mandatory action is supply action. You move your ship marker to the nearest supply token and place goods on the appropriate offer spaces. Actually, there are lots of goods in the game. Each token is double-sided, and if one side shows raw materials that can be processed, the other is a finished product that can be eaten, sold or put into use. The second mandatory action is the main action. You choose one of the 2. Take goods from an offer space or use a building action. Almost all actions in the game are performed through building cards. Want to get multiple goods at the same time? Go to the market. Do you want to turn wheat into bread? To the bakery. Build a ship? To the wharf. The only thing is, in order to use these buildings, first you need to build them. You can only construct buildings that are on the top of the stack of cards. To do this, use the construction firm and pay the resources for the construction indicated in the upper left corner of the card. To use the building, you need to pay the entry fee. It can be either food or coins. The fee is indicated in the upper right corner. Except for the last final action, there can only be 1 person disc in the building. There are lots of buildings cards in the game, and each one of them is unique. The symbols are simple and clear, so you'll easily understand what a particular company produces or processes. As an additional action, you can either buy or sell buildings and ships. If there are no supply tiles left and your ship has nowhere to move, it means the end of the round has come, chers amis. And it's time to resolve the top round card from the pile. It dictates the amount of food that each player must pay during the feeding phase. People work for food and don't even ask for money. But if you want, you can always replace food with the same amount of coins. After you pay your workers, the round card is turned over to show the ship on its reverse. It may be a wooden, iron or steel ship, or a luxury liner. Ships play a very important role in the game. They supply food to the port workers. The better the ship is, the more food it brings. Also, you can use the ships to sell goods and get a considerable amount of money for that. At the end of the round, the town may even construct a building. But this only happens when it is indicated on the round card. During the game, there's a constant interaction between the opponents, because they come to visit each other and use the buildings. But they don't just come in, they come bearing gifts, with some fresh bread, a fish or even a coin to the owner of the building. When the last round card is resolved, the final stage begins. Players can perform the final main action and then determine who is the most wealthy player. Players add indicated and additional values of their buildings and ships to their cash. The richest player wins the game. One important note: if you don't have enough food to feed the workers at the end of the round, you don't have to sell your buildings or ships. You just automatically take out a loan from the bank. The interest is paid only once per round when the player's ship is placed on the corresponding supply tile. Loans in Le Havre are not as punishing as begging card in Agricola. There, they put a heavy burden on your shoulders, which in most cases makes it hard or impossible to win. Here, on the contrary, loans can help you a lot. Firstly, a loan may be repaid at any time during the game. And secondly, there is no such thing as extra money. Le Havre is a classic that has stood the test of time. Uwe Rosenberg has created a surprisingly variable game that you will want to play again and again. So why is Le Havre so attractive? The rules are easy to explain. You either gain goods or use one of the available buildings. In many worker placement games, you catch yourself thinking, just don't use this action, just don't use this action. And of course they use, and you are left out there with no decent actions to perform. This will never happen to you in Le Havre. You will only have to choose between a good, a great and an excellent action. Yes, it all starts with 3 construction companies, but each round the number of buildings increases, which means that the number of opportunities increases as well. And at some point this abundance can be overwhelming. Sounds great, doesn't it? We don't say goodbye. À bientôt. Stay tuned.